Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today is Fake or Real Thursday, with the craziest stories that just can't be real. I think my brother is sleeping with my mum. Our first story comes from the BestofRedditorUpdates subreddit, posted by a throwaway account. I know, this will sound bizarre, and it is for me too, but I've been noticing some strange things for a few months now. My brother, 22 male, is my mother's golden child, and they've always had a close relationship. But every time my dad goes on a work trip, they become even closer, cuddling while watching a movie, etc. Whenever I ask them about it, they say it's just a normal mother-son relationship, but I feel disgusted by it all. Yesterday was the final nail in the coffin. My dad went on a business trip this Thursday and should be back this Wednesday. I was returning home after seeing some friends and the house was quiet, but the lights were on. That bothered me. When I went to take some comfy clothes from my room, I heard noises from my parents' room. I freaked out, but remained quiet and went to the bathroom. When I came out, my mother and brother were eating dinner like nothing happened. They even seemed surprised to see me home. I'm just so confused right now. I don't know if I should tell my dad because I have no solid proof. But I'm almost 100% certain that something's going on. Update, 10 days later. I put up some cameras like he suggested. And yes, I have a video of my mum and my brother entering my parents' bedroom. I don't know what they were doing in there. And frankly, I don't want to know. They were in there for about an hour, then came out like nothing happened. Of course, when my dad came back, I told him about my suspicions and even showed him the video. He was angry. I've never seen him like this. He began screaming at my mum and my brother. They said time and time again that they weren't doing anything sexual. My mother was angry at my dad for even suggesting that. But when my dad asked her what they were doing, she just stood there in silence. I'm now with my dad in my aunt's house, his sister, and I don't know what will happen, but at least he knows now. Relevant comments. Damn, dude. One of the few times I can honestly say, I hope they were doing drugs. There is another update where everything comes out, but I have to warn you, it's really dark, and I'd rather keep this channel lighthearted and fun. So I've just linked it down in the description if you really want to know what happened. But please check the trigger warnings before reading. My best friend met his wife in his shower. Our next story comes from the Pointless Stories subreddit, posted by Severe Bite 5974. At the time, my best friend was living in an apartment, and he told me about a really pretty girl who moved in next door to him. He hadn't really spoken to her other than a few hellos when passing each other in the hallway. One morning, he was walking out of his apartment to go to work when she stopped him. She said that her shower was broken and she had an important job interview in an hour. She said the maintenance people probably wouldn't be able to fix it until later that day or the next day. My friend told her that he was already late for work, but she could use his shower. He gave her a spare key and said he'd get it back from her once he was home from work. He also told her she could use his shower tomorrow too, if hers still wasn't fixed. She was very grateful, and he left for work. He had a hectic day at work and completely forgot about giving her the spare key. The next morning, he woke up and went over to his bathroom to find the bathroom door closed. He found it odd as he wouldn't normally close the bathroom door, but he was still kind of half asleep. Upon opening the door, she was standing there, stark naked, about to jump into the shower. He panicked and quickly closed the door in a state of shock. It turns out that her shower was still broken, and she'd knocked on his door to see if she could use his. He was still asleep and didn't hear the knock, and she figured he'd already left for work, so she let herself in. A very interesting way to meet someone. 10 years later, they're now married and have 2 kids. This sounds more like the start of a porno than a relationship. Came out to my cheating boyfriend by sleeping with his ex-girlfriend. Our next story comes from the PettyRevenge subreddit, Posted by PrizeBreak8433. I grew up in a very conservative country where I couldn't openly come out as bi/lesbian. There was one guy I was actually attracted to back in high school, and him and I dated for a brief period. About 2 months into the relationship, I found out that he was cheating on me with a mutual friend. I would later come to find out that he cheated on me multiple times with different people, and it had started only a month into the relationship. I was very upset when I found out about it because he was one of the very few men I was actually interested in. At the time, I still didn't have a great understanding of love and relationships. I decided not to say anything about it when I found out. Now, where I come from, it wasn't common to be openly bisexual or gay. The woman he dated before me was one of the very few people in my inner/outer circle who was openly bisexual. She'd come from the States and was a lot more liberal. She broke his heart, and I don't think he ever got over it. One time, when we were at a party, I met her, and we clicked. I told her that I was curious and wanted to explore my sexuality. We got closer over the course of the next 3 weeks. Eventually, we slept together, and that was a huge turning point for me. I knew I couldn't continue the relationship with him, so I decided to tell him. He was absolutely furious. The look on his face was worth every day that I waited not confronting him about the cheating. The sad thing is, he was more upset that his ex would do that to him than the fact that I cheated on him. I never went back to men after this. How I lost weight to spite my mother-in-law. Posted by MouseAeon16. This happened during Christmas of 2018. My now ex mother-in-law was living with my husband and I. I was not particularly fond of my mother-in-law. She's lazy, selfish, and entitled, among other things. A couple weeks before Christmas, she asked me what size jacket I wear. I wore medium large at the time, so obviously that's what I told her. Fast forward to Christmas morning, and I opened my present from her, which was a beautiful black spring-summer jacket from Fairweather, in size small. Keep in mind, when she asked me my jacket size and I told her, she repeated it back to me several times. After opening it and seeing the size, I politely thanked her for it, wondering why she bought that size and if it was somehow a mistake on her part. The next morning, I got my answer. She had made no mistake. She approached me and said in her rural Newfoundland accent, "That was the last jacket like that on the rack. If it don't fit ya, I'll have it." So instead of looking for another jacket in my size, she got one she really liked in her size. She bought it for me in her size, hoping because it didn't fit me, I would just give it to her. I did ask her about using the receipt to return or exchange it, but she accidentally lost it. Instead of calling her out or giving her the jacket, I told her that the size was fine and how much I really liked it, which is true. Now, being premenopausal and also having a hearty appetite, losing weight is a struggle for me. At the time, I was technically overweight for my height, and losing some weight was in my best interest. But until mother-in-law put that little stunt on me with my Christmas present, I wasn't that motivated to lose the weight. By spring of next year, the jacket fitted me perfectly. Mother-in-law was still living with us, and every time she saw me wear it, she would glare or look longingly at the jacket and say, "Oh, I love that jacket. I wish I could have gotten one for myself." 5 years later, her son and I are divorced, but still living together. I finally came out in the open about being a lesbian, which is why we split. I still have and wear that jacket, especially when she comes in from around the bay, and she still comments on it. Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.